All right, so I think maybe a few of you might be asking, how did Howard get onto this? You'll notice a lot of it's from a marketing background, and we as Modelware are committed to sorting out our marketing engagement. We're facing all sorts of challenges in terms of marketing analytics and things like that, and I decided one day that I need to do some marketing analytics, a course on marketing analytics. It's a course sponsored by one of the universities. And in doing this, there are a couple of important points that came home to me. One was all of this work on value propositions that marketing people do uh, is directly aligned to the business architecture. And I don't know if I always remember Mark Nolte's comment of a business value architect. I think you coined that term, Mark. And
No, it was one of your presenters that said it, and I resonated with it.
right, okay,
so
but
I wanted to
somehow I
reinforce
always
it.
remember
I
you.
like
I
it.
think it was Mark got into that. Now, I promise you, I can't. I don't know how to express it enough that the marketing people live and die by these value propositions. Okay, that's what they do. They understand the customer. They understand what resonates with the customer, just like what Mark said. And I keep on thinking of all the work I've done in BI and building data products and things like that, and recognize that you know we use this term of data product, but we don't define it properly, we don't design it properly, we don't understand it properly, and we really need to stretch ourselves to these areas so that when we build data products, it's not just a data mart. There's a lot more to it, and I'm hoping that I'm stimulating some of you to take that extra step and understand what product management is, product design is, and then how do we apply that to our data products. Um, are there any questions or comments or anything based on what I've said? I found it to be quite revolutionary in terms of getting me to think differently about the data products. I even know Paul Bolton. We do lots of design on use cases that deliver data products, and we've never really applied this thinking. Paul, I know you comment on it the end of last week. Can you share some of your insights and revelations around this?
Yeah, one example in particular is a customer in Lesotho. Not going to share more than that, but it's in Lesotho, and they looking for training. And it's interesting, we proposed the fundamentals, as you know, and the reply back, which we still need to give you, this is hot off the press. So sorry to share it in front of everybody, but they've come back to say we're really, really mature, which is mature thinking, I guess, in itself. But asking for, can we please have a course, fundamentals course on data management, data governance, data quality, and that's it. Okay. So just in the context of what you're saying, designing a product is, in terms of that customization, it's also because it gets tricky, right? When you start to try and customize and all of that. What is the value proposition of a 1 day with 3 subject or 3 knowledge areas only? So just so we've got some questions which you've pointed to here. We've sent it to them to say, what do you hope to gain? What are the pains that you're trying to start to relieve with just doing this set? And through those answers, we believe we'll either have some opportunity to upsell and add modules, maybe make it a 2-day or a 3-day. But yeah, just listening to the customer, I think is going to be great insights.
Fantastic. Anybody else? Any other comments? Okay. Nothing coming forward. All right. So last week we spoke about the customer value proposition. I defined that in terms of the jobs to be done, the pains and the gains. sort of similar to what Mark or what Paul has just spoken about. Listening to the customer, what is it that they need? And please, this is not just external customers or retail customers, this is also internal customers. Okay, so what are the pains and gains that you have at the moment in making a business decision? Whatever that may be, whichever area of the business you're in. And then what we're going to be talking about now is the actual how to go about designing a data product, understanding the data that's required, and understanding the product feature definition. Okay, so that's sort of what we want to address today, and it's all based on that value proposition that comes both from architecture, business architecture, and from the marketing people. Okay, so last week we went through these ones with the value proposition, the design, and this week we want to focus on the data professional. Okay. All right, so let's go back to defining a data product. What is the definition of a data product? Now, I do know that quite a few of you were on the talk by Gary yesterday, and if you remember, this was part of his definition, the key characteristics of a trusted data product. He was trying to differentiate between what he termed a data asset and then a data product, and these were the core elements of his definition of a key characteristic. Okay, now that got me thinking because there was a whole lot of different aspects to his definition that were more than just what he listed there. He spoke of raw data products, APIs, data service, all the different ways in which you can consume a data product and govern a data product. That's something that we teach in data architecture, is building these data products. And then I went back to the definitions and I started looking around at different definitions. And here's a definition that sort of accumulated or brought a lot of what Gary was saying. Remember, he spoke about the data being clean, the data being curated, the data being understandable with metadata and data models, the ability to find the data using a data catalog, the ability to share and access the data, and then, of course, reusability. And he also mentioned that it could be in the form of a dashboard, it could be a machine learning model, it could be a recommendation engine, and it could be API. So there's that data product definition coming out. Now, of course, I really enjoy this technique that we got from Mark and Terry Atkins, and this is about the way in which they create a structured definition. And just to show you quickly how that works is you get the definition and then I use a highlighter. Okay, so show me the classification, and I always look for a data product is a curated collection. All right, so that's a ticket to me to say there's the fundamental classification, and this is what Mark Nolte was doing as well in terms of the product he's working with John O'Gorman. It's about classification, and then I go to the next level of purpose and function. So what's the purpose? And there you can see in the green what I see coming out here as purpose. It's there to provide holistic insights, solve a problem, provide valuable insights. Okay, essential for transforming data into decision-making processes. So there's my function. Who? Now, this is various stakeholders. And then we get the what. So what are the characteristics? Okay, and Gary listed them, and I've created this list as well. And then we go to bringing it down into single sentences. This is what I really like with the definition is I can discuss and argue every single sentence and agree every single sentence. Okay, so there's the first one, classification. A data product is a curated data asset or set of data assets. Okay. Why do we have it? What's the purpose? to solve a business problem, to provide. These were the set of functions that were provided to me. Who needs it, various stakeholders, and then we got very detailed into what it should be. It must be prepared, it must be understandable, it must be findable, interoperable. And I've given some descriptions here on what those different elements are. And then you may have noticed that the when and where are missing from that definition. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means we should maybe pay attention to it to say, should we complete it? And then how? How do we build it? Okay. And that was that element of reusable. It must be built from reusable elements. It can be presented via BI tools, predictive models. So that's the sort of how. And of course, what we get from here is another set of terms that we should go and define. So please, that definition is not complete if you haven't built all of these definitions. So just to share with you, now, when I reviewed the definition, and I don't know about you, but I found these things too abstract. Okay, various stakeholders. That could mean anything. Anything, I could drive anything through that big hole of various stakeholders. And even this one, solve a business problem. And if you remember, it's quite a lot of those discussions yesterday. John O'Gorman asked Gary, is a business glossary a data product? And we had quite a few discussions. I don't know if any of you remember it, and if any of you have uh, some thinking on it. And if we define it as a data product, then we should say, does it solve a business problem? Well, yes. Oh, sorry, I've got a spelling mistake there. Yes, it solves a business problem, and that is common understanding, getting common understanding. Does it support decision making? Yes, it does. We know exactly what the term is. Does it provide actionable insights? Maybe. Not sure there, so I'd need to look at that in this scenario. So I just want to pause there again just to see any comments on how important it is to get this definition right. Write your definition out, and then you can see probably where your understanding is missing. And of course, I like using those 5 wives and a husband to actually do that. Are there any questions? Are there any comments in terms of using this technique to understand what a data product is? Sure. Everyone's very quiet today. No comments.
Hi, Howard.
Yes,
Mayela?
Magella.
Yes, I'm thinking on that. I said the why is like it should be. No?
A purpose or a function? That's the why.
And
What?
the solve should solve business problem or should provide actionable insight. And
Yes.
solve should support decision making. Okay? That's my
Yes.
point. I don't know. Okay.
Okay. Yes. So this is basically you read it like this: a data product should solve a business problem. It should provide actionable insights and will support decision making. So that's the definition that we have. And my comment on this one is that it's a little bit too high for me. It's too abstract. I'm sort of almost looking for more details. Magella, does that make sense?
Yes, yes, of course. Yes. Nothing in my head now to ask.
Okay.
Yes, to accept a yes.
Okay.
No, nothing to add right now.
But Magella, I wonder, can you see the benefit of breaking the definition down? Because this is what we had with Gary, right?
Yes.
And I'm not saying it's wrong. There's lots of it to that, but is it a complete definition? Is this something you can use in your business glossary to define a data product. And I would suggest that there's a lot of work that it will take to get the complete definition done, and to ensure that you understand it properly, so that we don't have confusion as about how do we build a data product.
Yes. Yes. Even though the next slide you show for a while show something. I don't know if this or I, I will tell you when I
Okay.
see that. Yes, I will tell you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, fine. So there's the definition. I've tried to make it a lot more clearer. And then what you recognize is as soon as you do that, you've got all sorts of other definitions to define before you can completely understand this definition. So that's why I added that short description. Okay. So when I go a little bit further, this is almost how I've completed that definition and made it more specific to deal with my requirements of having a good definition of a data product. Okay, so it's there to solve specific customer profile business problems. For example, the challenges that they have, the pains and the gains on the jobs that they need to do. Okay, so that's bringing it down another level in terms of saying, well, why do we design a data product? Why do we design a product? Well, we want to be able to solve these challenges that our business people are facing. And Paul, this is sort of what I was referring to remember when we do a SWOT analysis on the strategy, we want to be able to break down that use case into these things. Okay, what do we need to do? What are the pains we're having? What are the gains we're having? And then our strategy will be to define a use case that's going to help address these challenges that they are facing, and basically design a product. Now, what we need to do this properly, we really need to understand the customer segments within our business and outside of our business, and then the personas. And if you remember last week, we built a customer profile for the persona, and that had all of the jobs to be done, pains and gains. Okay, so that gives him my who, and then my when. The data product should be available on demand whenever I need it, and it should adhere to the timeliness expectations of the consumer. Okay, where should a data product be available? It should be internally accessible and externally accessible. So it should be available to both the people in the organization and outside of the organization. And it actually reminded me of some work we did in Saudi, where we designed a data product. And then what we thought was to say, this data product, whilst it's targeting to make money from external people, it could be used and validated and tested internally by our business people before it went externally. And one of the reasons were they were really scared of the quality of the data, and they felt that if they released the data now, it would cause all sorts of refunds and people demanding their money back. Okay. So that's when I started to recognize this. Let's get it right internally. Let's use it to deal with some of our issues, and then we can publish it externally. Okay, so that would almost be like getting Paul certified to a master level of certification in CDMP before we get the others to be certified. Okay. All right, and then how do we do it? We build it from multiple reusable elements. Okay, so this is what this talk is going to focus on, is having this definition of our data product that deals with answering the why and the who, of data product management. Okay. All right, so let's go to the customer segmentation. That's almost giving us the why. Now, to be able to answer the why, we need to study the people. Okay, what do they do? What is the demographics? What are the geographics? behavioral, generational things. So the first thing we need to do is to build customer segmentations. And again, that's sort of fundamental to our stakeholder map. I don't know if any of you have tried to build a stakeholder map in business architecture. You're going to define almost these segments of stakeholders and then look at how influential they are and what decisions they need to make. Okay, so defining a customer segment at its core, I don't want to get into too many details. It's the practice of dividing your target market, everybody inside of your business, into approachable groups that you can go and understand what it is that they do, what are their needs, their priorities, their interests. They call it psychographic data, and I'm going to give you an example a little bit later on. So hold on to that one for a while. And behavior. What behavior? What do they do? What are their jobs? Now we can leverage this information to build our product sales and marketing strategies. So I'm suggesting we use that as our own marketing strategies, our own product strategies for internal people, our internal data products. And then, of course, we can power the product development lifecycle. So how do we build this product? How do we create it with all the different features that are required? Okay. Now, here's a breakdown of segmentation types. So a demographic, this is on individual attributes, geography, gender, education level, income levels, those are examples. And this is when we're focusing on B2C. So this is to your consumer, okay, you're almost your retailer. And then we've got firmographics, which I quite like, and that is when we target companies and organizations. So what's the industry, what's the location, the number of employees, the revenue, what data attributes should we use to describe these different companies? Okay. And so for a small business and we want to be able to target companies, then we should use the firmographics, B2B. Now, psychographics is quite interesting because it now deals with both B2B and B2C. And this is about attitudes, aspirations, values, and other criteria. So this is culture, cultural things. Where does the company want to go to? Vision and values. There, your values, opinions, lifestyle of the individuals, personalities, both for the individuals and for corporates. And then we have behavioral. Okay, so this is how do they use a product? How do they want to use a product? How do they use technology? Are they laggards in terms of, remember that change management issue? And these are some of the variables, the data elements that we need to collect: usage rate, benefit types, occasion, purchasing, decisions. These are the elements that we do. So we've now got multiple segments, types of segments, so that it just gives you a categorization. And here is a segmentation process that we are using, that I'm building. And the first thing to do is identify your objective of segmentation. Why are we building this segmentation? Why do we need to break our individuals up? Okay, or our market segment up. So first of all, we link it to business objectives. And now you can see, I want to drive growth. I want to improve customer retention, identify upsell and cross-sell. Okay, now, again, if you're in a BI team or if you're in a data quality team and you build a business case, this is sort of the types of things that you want to be able to define. And then we have the next set of steps talks to our data model. Okay, so how do we segment the data with the different variables? How do we collect and analyze the data? Okay, then we collect the data, we clean the data, and we integrate it. So we bring all the data together. And then we have to evaluate the segments. Okay, so if we apply this to our current customer demographics, what do we get? What sort of distribution do we get along our customer segments and our customer personas? Okay, and then the next step is, once you've got this right, then you go into that value proposition that we spoke about last week. These are the elements to identify the customer profile. And then this is about assigning product features or designing product features that is going to deliver on the value proposition. Okay, maybe just to pause there, would anyone, are there any questions? So any questions on that? I mean, good from your side. Okay, so data professionals, you need to be able to collect this data. And please don't underestimate the size of this data and the job that you need to do it. Okay, and I'm going to show you a tool that I'm using to do my segmentation. And you can see immediately how complex this tool is and the sort of things that you need to pay attention to. Okay, so this is what we're focusing on. What are the variables? What data do I need to collect to help me answer the problem, build a data product? Now I can go across my segment types and I get some examples of the data that we need to collect. Okay, now when we come to the analytics or the analysis of segmentations, there's a really powerful analytical or statistical scenario. It's called conjoint. Now, I had never heard of this up until 3 weeks ago, until I started trying to ask myself the question is, how do I understand how customers value different product features? So what should go into this product? Or do we just agree amongst ourselves what the product feature should be, and then we deliver it, and then we find out that the customers aren't really that happy? So certainly the answer is no. We should be surveying our customers, and then we should be doing some analysis to understand, well, what are the most important features? What are the most important components of a product? Okay, so this is what conjoint is there. It's actually a statistical method to design that. Okay, so the principle is any product or offering can be broken down into a set of attributes that ultimately impact the user's perceived value of an item or a service. So this is what's going to help them make the decision about, yes, this is valuable to me, I like the product, or no, I don't like it, I'm not interested. And if it doesn't give me enough value, well, then I'm not going to pay the money that I need to do it. Okay. So as an example, I'm looking at customer segmentations for Modelware. Okay, and how do we segment our community? And when I looked at a tool, it came to $1,293 a month. Okay, that gave me almost $15,000 a year, and that led up to something like 100 or 200,000 rand. And it's like, oh, I need to think this one through a little bit. I'm not sure whether I can make a decision with that amount of money at this stage. So I needed to understand it a lot better. So what's the goal? Okay, the goal is to determine what attributes are the most influential in getting the respondent to make a choice or a decision. Okay, so let's think about that. If I build a data mart or if I build a report, okay, one of the things that I constantly ask people, do you understand the decision that the business needs to make with that report that they've asked you? Do you understand those things? And then what are the most influential attributes? Now, that is your critical data element. Okay, is that making sense? These should be your CDEs within your data product that you can use to help you make a decision. Okay, so not only is it validating what the customers want, but it's also ranking my critical data elements of the data product that I'm going to build. Okay, all right. Now, I just wanted to show you an example of the tool that I'm using. It's a tool called Qualtrics. I'm not even too sure how to pronounce it. This is the tool that I've got. And this is the survey that we're designing in terms of some of these things. And then it goes through managing the survey, managing the distribution to the individuals by email or giving them a web link, and then doing the data analysis. Okay, so we then get into the data analysis on these different tools, and there's all sorts of interesting analysis that we need to do. And you can see some of the analysis that we're doing at this point in time. Okay, so it's analyzing all sorts of elements and features, combinations that we need to do. Okay, so here's an example. I've got all my variables that will affect me. Where's the person located? What is the distribution channel, the language, the age of the individual? That makes quite a difference in terms of the desire to go and spend 4 days on a full learning product. So these are some of the variables that we feel will affect us. Okay. Now, just using an existing output, this is a it's a price ratio on how much money would you spend, extra money would you spend on getting a better battery. Okay, so that's an interesting observation. So if you spend 700 Rand, then these are the number of hours you would get. And here we can see over our population of 360 people, 96 people were happy to spend $700. Then 94, $900, 72, and you can see it diminishing as you go down. Okay, and that's the percentage that we have on that. And then when you compare the different things on what do you spend to get 7 hours of battery power, or 9 hours, or 11 hours, or 13 hours, can you see it's showing you that relationship and how people see the value of 11 hours or 13 hours. Okay. And what's important with this analysis or statistical analysis is what they call a null hypothesis. Basically means that the battery hours have got nothing to do with the amount of extra money that the people need to pay. That's what the null hypothesis is. Okay. And that's your starting point. You start off assuming that two variables have nothing to do with each other, and then you got to prove how strong that relationship is. Okay, so here we're just getting the result that this does have an impact, and they are related and they are important to us. And so here you can see this is what the report looks like. The feature importance. Battery life, screen on time is the most important feature of a computer that you're going to buy, a notebook or whatever it is. And then it's the price, and then the camera quality, front camera options, and biometric features. Okay, so this is just the type of analysis that you're doing. So again, to probably slow down, can people see now the benefit that I'm getting out of doing these surveys and then getting some data and being able to analyze the impact of those features on the price that we're doing? Sure. I feel like I'm losing everybody. Paul, any comments from your side? No comments.
Yeah, I'm focusing.
I mean, this is certainly something that you need to pay attention to. You're always having to price
Yes.
product, okay? And if you're not sure how important the feature is maybe a case of saying, well, this doesn't really count, so let's not worry about it. And how do we design a product that meets those features?
Got you.
Okay, and then
Thanks,
of course, sorry.
No, thanks. That's why I'm just working through the detail.
Okay.
Thanks.
So here we can see that if I was to baseline 13 hours, if that's the optimal package, people are saying, can you see that they're almost willing to spend that extra amount of money? And in this situation, they are willing to spend something like $1,100 for that 13 hours. That's the ultimate package that they've got. So that's sort of where we want to go to. That's almost your default marketing point of bringing in that battery life. Okay, they're willing to spend more. Okay, so that was about that customer segmentation. I need to be able to understand the features that are going to impact the different segments of my market. Okay, and now we break it up into a buyer persona in terms of, okay, now if we look at the battery prices, which person is going to be interested in spending $1,100? Well, it's typically not going to be a student, but it's certainly going to be someone who's traveling a lot, who's working in conferences, who's not always connected, coffee shops or things like that. You can see them trying to get the most out of their battery. I know that happens to me a lot. As you get on the plane, the battery dies and we're in all sorts of trouble. So am I willing to spend more money on a better battery? I am, but I've never found my batteries to last. I don't know about you, but I can never get my battery to last. So there's the challenge. Okay, so here we go. These are the key points, and it's quite interesting. You almost develop a semi-fictional representation. Um, yeah, reading a novel instead of on a plane. Yeah. Now they're watching videos and it's all Kindle and all working. Okay, so you develop a semi-fictional representation. It's really nice to have an image of a person that you're targeting. So when you write to that person, when you engage with that person, you're using this common definition. Okay, common understanding that you can get shared behavior. So here's an example of it. We have an HR product, and it solicits employee feedback. And what they did was they had Diane, that's the vice president of human resources. And then they have Evan, okay? And Evan is an entry level employee that needs to submit feedback. And one of the problems that Diane has, and also the CEO, is that the employees don't voice the concerns to HR, and when they go into an open community with Glassdoor reviews where everything's anonymous, they get all these surprises of saying, "Well, we don't really like to work here. It's this problem, it's that problem," and things like that. So she's desperately looking for a way of getting these concerns to come out. That's what her job to be done is. Can you see this? This is here and address employee concerns. Okay, that's what her job needs to be. Now, Evan, on the other side, he is another persona. These are the attributes that he has, and his biggest frustration is he's overwhelmed at all of the politics and all of the possibilities of getting into trouble if you say something negative. So he's very concerned about expressing his views, and so he'll typically go quiet in this situation. Okay, so what does the product feature have to do? Okay, so we now have to bring relief to these pains that have been expressed, and so there's almost and we want to achieve a gain. Okay, so the gains that we want Diana to achieve is to get her KPIs, for people to give her all the submissions and not get caught in a Glassdoor review. But she wants to know that her employees are enjoying where they work. What can she do to improve that work? So these are the features that this product must deliver to Diane. To Evan, on the other side, okay, he would gladly use it, okay, if it was easy and can be done frequently, but he needs to fully trust that the feedback is anonymous. Okay, so if he gets an implication that it's on the side of the company, that the HR person has designed this feedback to benefit the company or benefit herself or the managers, he's not going to use it. Okay, so that's what we need to understand. And again, I'm hoping you can see that by paying attention to this, you're now getting a much better definition of the features that your product should have. And please, this is not just a physical employee feedback. This can be applied to any data product that you build. Okay, what are we trying to do in terms of getting all the stuff and getting all the feedback? We want to be able to make sure that we align our product and service to all of the jobs to be done, the gains that they want to achieve, and the pains that they're experiencing. And this is a really nice technique that you can use on Miro board, where you put all these things up and then you say, one step at a time. What is our product doing? What is it not doing? And what should we consider it to do? Okay. And that's the end goal. That I have a feature that will deal with my profile. I'll be able to deal with all of these issues. Okay. Now, I'm running a bit out of time. I wanted to give you an example of the work that I've been doing, and then just a call to action. So I'm going to try to go through this pretty quickly in terms of the way I've had to put together my segmentation. I'm seeing it as corporate customers versus individual customers. When we try to sell products to a corporate customer, it's very different to selling it to an individual. An individual knows what they want. They're not going to have a corporate sponsoring all of their learning. So they know they feel a different pain. And typically it's about them getting a career going, being recognized within the market. That's what they're trying to do. And the corporate's not so much about that. The corporate's more about, do I have the resources that can deliver, that can help me achieve what I'm looking to do? Okay, so here's the design. I'm sure you've seen it. This is our journey map. And these are the different personas that I've got. In the corporate segment, we've got a data team lead, the person delivering data products, a data a manager who's going to be responsible for a data practice. Okay. And those individuals from the practice are going to be part of the data team. And then a data executive, the person who's responsible for the data management office within the organization. And then at an individual level, the person could either be a citizen, a professional, someone who's got the fundamental CDMP, and then a data specialist who has achieved that the fundamentals plus 2 specialist exams, and then a thought leader who's there to influence people and wants to achieve influence on an international stage. So that's the journey that these different people walk through. Okay, some definitions. There's my profile development. So I just want to show you quickly the data executive. These are the roles. This is what they're responsible for. So this is their jobs to be done. Can you see that? Okay, thanks, Mark. So this is the job. They need to lower costs of the data management office. They need to increase profits. They need to improve data governance. They need to address fraud. They need to comply with regulations. They need to create a strategy. They need to build a culture, and they need to manage complex and ambitious data projects that produce data products. So there's a short summary of what the executive needs to do. Those are the jobs. And so what I've done here is, what are the pains that this person is going to be experiencing to do the job? Okay, so I'm enumerating all of the pains, both from a functional point of view, from an emotional point of view, and from a social point of view. We dealt with that last week. And then how do I produce relief to that pain? So now I've got the pain, as we saw there. Now, how do I relieve the pain? What do I need to do to relieve this pain that we've got? Okay, how do we help the person showcase their expertise in terms of credibility? How do we get value-driven content that the person can show? So those are some of the examples. And then gains as well. So how do we get the person to get the credibility? And so there's the customer profile of the data executive. And then here is the design on how to get those jobs done. So as you can see, there's a type of there's a type of job, there's the list of the jobs, the pain that they're experiencing, and then how do I relieve that pain, and what are the gains that they want, and how do I create that gain? So what do I need to do to create this gain? So for every single pain and gain, I need to understand how to deal with it. Okay, and then I need to check, well, is that in my product list? Do I have it? But the first thing I need to do is to prioritize my jobs so I can then design the features and implement them one step at a time. Okay, so we see just going through all of that information, and then I get a data product or a product that helps create the gains, relieve the pains, and address these different areas. And that's your value proposition. This is what we can do to help a data executive as a corporate customer. And now when you communicate with them or you do the surveys, these are the things that you need to be able to validate. And here's just a description that I've written in that scenario. And then, of course, what I need to do is how do I measure it? How do we measure that we are delivering the benefit and the value? Okay. And so what I have done is defined value items and value propositions for every job. And I need to be able to measure that that product is doing what it needed to do. Okay. So just going back now to that presentation, just to summarize, at the end of the day, what is it that as professionals, what do we need to pay attention to? What do you need to do as a professional when you walk out of here? First thing is to adjust your view of all of these projects that you're doing. These projects are data initiatives that are and should be delivering some form of data product. Okay. We should have a definition of the business architecture and the marketing value proposition for all our stakeholders. We should know what they need. How do we deliver value to them? And then we must design our data products and our features that go into the data product using the techniques that the marketing people have been doing. That conjoint analytics that conjoint analytics has been going for 3 years. The marketing people have been using that for 3 years. So if we want to take on data products and we want to talk about data products, we're going to have to learn how to assess the features. Okay. Then once we've got all of this analysis, then we define the life cycle that we're going to take it through from our minimal viable product, and then we're going to add features on, of course, dependent on the priorities that our customers have. And then we need to be able to monitor and review all of the elements of our data product. Okay. And the last thing I'd like to share with you is if you're not sure, or I noticed not many people asked any questions, just set up some time with me and we can talk about your data product strategy. How do we help you design a data product and get data products out there that deal with the needs of the customers? All right, so that's the.
I'm
That's
first.
the. Sorry, Paul. Yes.
No, I'm saying I'm first.
Okay.
I've got access to your diary. I'll be first.
Okay, fantastic.
Now, I'm just interested to talk through that your Excel where you rank the different areas. Just you rank the pains and gains by those categories.
Yes.
I think one back.
Right. So this job selection. This is what you're talking about over here,
Yeah.
Paul. Now, what you'd also be doing is using that conjoint analysis in terms of saying, what are the most important features? Okay. And your features are going to be embedded in one of these jobs.
Okay.
Okay. So there we get the importance and the tangible importance that this has been made tangible to us. The importance, failing the job is going to cause pain, and tangible, we've actually got data to make that pain and gain tangible. We can quantify it. Okay. Then we need to be asking other questions in terms of saying, are there any other unresolved pains and gains that we are not talking to? And then does it make us money? Okay, does it bring, now, if we're talking about external people, you remember there's that, is the segment profitable? Okay, and now let's think of something like Spotify. And remember, they targeted a lot of the youth, the millennials and the Gen Z That was their targeting strategy, and they gave away that free Spotify. Okay, they gave it away free, but when they gave it away free to make it profitable, they added adverts. Okay, so they could actually get sponsors or people that were interested in tackling this market. They made it profitable by bringing in adverts. Okay, so that question on lucrative is very important to be able to say, well, if I'm making a loss, but please remember the making a loss, I'm making a loss on the money side of it, but I am getting more people onto my platform, which is always very helpful. So that's number of customers, but you do need to understand how to make it more profitable. And then I don't know if you remember that family product, when they bought out the family product, what they were doing there was they were actually getting the parents to sponsor the children. Okay, so now there was this cross-sell and upsell that they're saying, okay, now if I offer this parent this price, then they'll be able to fund all of my kids and my students and things like that. So they're doing a lot of that different feature analysis to understand where they're at.
Sure. Okay.
So again, the questions that we all need to ask when you assess your features and your segments, you need to go through this analysis.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question? Amin, I see you putting thumbs up quite often. Is there anything you'd like to comment on? Appreciate your feedback.
This has been a really good learning experience here, listening to you today, Howard. Needs more focus. I'll be requesting for the recording as well to go through again.
Okay, fantastic. Yes, we will get the recording and we'll publish all of these slides, and you'll be able to see all of that. So we typically wait to the end of the month. I think it's Deshara. We wait to the end of the month when my complete slide deck is finished, and then we'll give you the slides across all the different weeks. So please wait for that final month, at the end of the month, and we'll publish all of the slides.
Okay.
Thanks, Howard.
Thank you, Dizu. Thank you.
Thanks to everybody. Okay. Is there any questions before we close?
Thanks, Howard. Sure.
Okay. All right, guys.
Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
Okay, thanks. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was really interesting.
Pleasure, Adam. Well, would you like to ask a question there, Paul? Is there something you'd like to chat about?
No,
From the
I
features.
I just want to
Online.
take that spreadsheet, and I want to just for my own sake, just work through other of our products.
Yeah.
Just so that I can get that thinking right, because I was battling a little bit with the ranking, the high, medium, low.
Okay. All right. So yeah, this is the executive.
Yes.
And so I've just done the ranking at the executive level for now.
Yes.
Now, what I did was I created the ranking myself for all of these different areas, and that's something we need to test now, right?
Okay.
So we would go out. First of all, we understand all the features that's required for this product, and then we would go out and do that survey. We would design a survey, Paul. I don't know if you saw a lot of that. this one over here, where you design the survey.
Okay.
And that survey answers, it has multiple answers. It links
Oh, wow.
to all of the different variables. Okay. And it's got multiple paths through it. And then it can also do textual analytics. Okay. So these are the different questions that you've got,
Yeah.
sliders,
Sure.
things like that, net promoter score, all these different things. So you then, once you've got your features, and you've got some idea on what you think it is, then you design the survey,
Yes.
and now you're trying to understand and get that ranking for yourself.
Okay. Yeah.
Get them to confirm the ranking. That's why I referred to that in that one slide. I referred to it as it requires customer validation.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I saw like, I know it's just an example, but my head went immediately, shucks, its ranking is quite low of not having a data strategy. And, you know, in terms of what we do, we place, you've
Oh, yes,
you've
yes.
placed the importance of a data strategy, you know, right up
Yes.
front in the governance process, if you want to call it. And my head went immediately to that to say, shucks, wonder why I'd put this at a 2,
Right.
because,
Now,
but I know
Paul,
it's just, I just realized it was an example, but I was trying to then fathom how do
yeah,
I,
but it was a learning experience on my side, is to actually think, oh shucks, you know, y- now let's look at, when we talk about pains and gains,
yes,
you'll probably find, and let's sort of almost be honest about this thing, is that is probably the reason why people aren't doing those data strategies, is because the big pains and gains, they're driving after risk management, cultural issues,
yeah,
supporting decisions, building a mature practice, and the operating model. And they, a lot of the times, they don't think or realize that the data strategy is the lead into all of those other things. Everyone follows off there.
yeah,
And that's a good explanation as to, well, that's why we're not getting it done. That's why we're
yes,
seeing that the people are not doing it.
yeah,
And then, of course, when I bring in these emotional issues and social issues, data stress relief. Okay, does the data strategy bring about stress relief immediately?
yeah, sure. Okay.
But probably not, right? External assurance, like how mature are we? Okay, business impact and credibility, that talks more to our culture and our maturity and things like that.
Yes,
So
yes,
that was mind blowing to me, Paul.
sure. Oh. It's because it just, I mean, as a pivot into training, because like you've just like used the strategy again as an example, if they're not necessarily, well, they're not attributing their pain to that.
Yes, yes,
I shouldn't say they're not linking it. They're not attributing the pain that they're experiencing to the fact that they don't have a strategy or
yeah,
something else. And it's then
yeah,
about educating and saying, this is the value to you. This is the gain if you
yeah,
had one.
100%, Paul.
Yeah,
And this is where I get to this one.
sure.
Right. It's a
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of where's the pain? The data strategies are not aligned, and they're not doing what the business wants.
Yeah,
And the business see no value in them. All right.
yeah,
So the business is not seeing value. So the executive thinks, well, you know, it's not getting me that benefit, so I don't need to do it. And then how do I fix it? Well,
yeah,
we've got to bring in thought leadership. We've got to get them to change that way of thinking and influence their thinking.
yeah,
And then the gains would be, you know, when we start showing them the data SWOTs, and then that twos, remember that was threats and weaknesses, opportunities and strengths. When you start showing them that on
yes,
your SWOT, then they start realizing, oh, okay, this is the benefit that I'm going to get out of a data
yeah,
strategy.
sure.
They don't see it immediately. They're
No,
not going to see that thing immediately.
that's the same as the, not everybody, but it's the same as the DMMA, right?
Yes.
It's like, flap, this is a lot of stuff to answer, and why are we getting people's perception, and why this and why that? They're not attributing again pains that they have to the fact that they haven't got a roadmap
100%.
to
100%.
improve things.
And
Sure.
that's almost why the storytelling on DMMA is so important.
Yeah, yeah,
You've got to be able to explain the pains you are experiencing in terms of business people complaining about inefficient data management, resources, not enough resources, people and technology is short. That's an indicator that you don't have well-defined processes.
sure. Yeah.
You know,
Cool. Thank you, man. No, this is awesome, man. She's
Okay.
so lots. There's lots of work to do this analysis for every deliverable there, but it's
yes.
it's good, eh? Jeez.
Yeah, so that's why, and the next step that I am battling with is it's it's recognizing this thing on we've done so much work in terms of segmenting, working
Yeah.
through this, understanding. I mean, there's still work that we need to do here, segment analysis, but it's this step here,
Yes.
this product alignment that is where we want to get to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's no use doing the product alignment when you don't understand the priority of those features.
100%.
Okay.
100%. Sure.
So that's why I almost present it like this: is I don't really care about the features. Are we dealing with all of these things?
Oh, yes. That's massive, eh? Cool. I've got access to this. I'm gonna keep reading and studying now.
All right. Okay, man.
No, thanks so much, Howard. It's awesome, eh? Shucks.
All right. Cool.
Cool,
Okay.
man. Cheers, eh?
Cheers, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.